guys, this is Danette with Pear Farms. I'm not in my kitchen, but I'm in Denise's kitchen today. It's that time of year. That time of the year for an abundance of pears. And you wonder, what am I going to do with all of these pears? And if you have a pear tree, you know exactly what I mean. They, for the most part, they produce abundantly. And we have one, let's see, behind Erica's house that we found that we were blessed with. We shared with you about that last year. But we've had some people that go to our church. I had a friend that I work with that contacted us about the abundance of pears on their trees this year. There must be a great harvest for pears this year for some reason. But they, so me and Stumpy went, what day was it? Last week one day to our friends that go to church with us, their house. We picked up 2 bucketfuls. And they were different kinds of pears. And I'm not pear savvy, so I don't know what the name of all of them are. But I do know that his were small green ones. And then we drove over to my friend's house, and she had an abundance, and hers were larger brown pears. And so, of course, one sure thing that we'll do with them is we will be making some pear jam and pear butter, probably not pear butter this year, but some pear sauce. And we did that on those that we did, the buckets that we got last week. But Jace and Stumpy went back yesterday and picked 2 more 5-gallon buckets of pears from our friends at church. And so Miss Martha was so gracious to share a recipe with me on some pear bread. When we went last week over there, she was making this recipe, and she doesn't even eat it, but she was making it she keeps it in her freezer, pear bread. And so she had 21 loaves that she'd been working on that day, and she actually shared a loaf with us. And confession here, it was almost gone by the time we got home to eat. We did have a little bit left to share. Everybody else got a bite from it, but I almost immediately said, I need to make some more. And so on Sunday, I put some more loaves together. The recipe makes 2 loaves, so I did 2 recipes. And it's interesting, I'll talk about that in just a little bit, the difference in the 2 recipes, but they're gone. And so I said, well, let me share this recipe. I had not ever seen this done before, and so I not ever tried it. Let me just say, I figured you could probably do a pear bread, but this is absolutely delicious. And so I wanted to share with you this recipe today, and I'm gonna kind of tweak it up a little bit and try some different things, but I'll share with you what I did the other day that was different. But I've got to get these pears cut up, and I need 3 cups of pears to make this recipe work. The other day, the recipe called for, she wrote down 3 large pears, which I did 3 large pears, so it must have been about the 3 cups because it worked out fine. But we'll see. I've already cut up 3 pears here, and there's not enough. There's probably a cup and a half. So we're going to get over here and get started, and I'm going to start peeling and cutting up pears. So y'all join me, okay? So I've got them peeled. And as you can see, it's actually more than just 3 pears, because I don't have, that was 3 pears there, and so it's not very, that definitely doesn't give me the 3 cups that I need. So I'm going to get these peeled, get these cut up. Some are, harder than others, and I think that's just the kind of pear it is. I know that certain pears are good for certain recipes and stuff like that. I do not claim to be a pear connoisseur. I am a pear consumer, though. I love pear. Anything pear, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I love coming upon these kind of recipes. You don't see this much anymore. You know, everything's quick, and they want the fastest way to cook. And this is really a quick recipe. There's nothing difficult about it. But in modern recipes, you know, a lot of nobody cooks anything from scratch anymore. They want a quick recipe to do, and I love making from scratch because I know what's in it, and I can substitute what I want in it, rather than, you know, what they ask, you know. So, and I'm just kind of roughly chopping these. You could probably use your chopper if you wanted to. The other day, while I was getting the other part of the recipe together, Stumpy, you gotta love him, he got the pears chopped up for me, and had them ready by the time I got to I'll leave that one out. That's a little bit of the middle. By the time I needed them to be dumped into the recipe. So, sweet, sweet couple that goes to church with us, an elderly couple, and of course, Stumpy's going to find them out, all the farmers and the fishermen, and he is going to talk all things farming and fishing. Now, Mr. Leroy and him have just gathered a great, or developed a great friendship, I might say. And so, when he said he had an abundance of pears, he was not kidding. And Stumpy was like, I will be over there. So we've made 2 trips. And I'm sure we could probably go back and get more if we wanted to. Erica's tree is dropping some pears, so we'll have to harvest those and get those in. But we kind of hate to see things go to waste, and so we will. The blessing about these pears, the ones that we got last week, we did some pear sauce, like applesauce, in the roaster. Let it cook down, and then we added some cinnamon and sugar to it, and then we just used our emulsifying blender and just emulsified it into a sauce and canned it. And so, and it's just like applesauce. Man, it was so good. And oh, look what I did. I can't talk and cut pears apparently at the same time. Get distracted. But anyway, so we did the pear sauce. But then we also, Stumpy took just kind of sliced them like this. Didn't chop them, but just sliced them up and put them in, cooked them down with some sugar and canned them. And so this weekend when we had one of our summer fish fries, we dumped out and made a pear cobbler that was delicious. If you want that recipe, I'll try to remember to link it, but if I forget, it's the Pioneer Woman's cobbler recipe, where she does her blackberry cobblers, and we just substitute whatever fruit we want in it and put it in there. And oh my stars, you want to talk about delicious. That's been one of our favorites. It's always loved when we cook it and all, but just about got it. And the good thing about you know, the peels and the cores, let me just tell you, those pigs this morning, Mr. Leroy had picked up a bunch of rotten ones off the grass that had dropped from the tree, and he sent them with us. And Jace dumped them pigs some rotten pears this morning, and the smacking was on. They enjoyed the pears as well. And so if you have any other pear recipes you want to share with me, I love trying new things. Like I said, this makes 2 loaves. I'll give you the recipe here in just a minute. Okay, let me go over the recipe for you. But first, before I go over the recipe, you like my apron? I love this apron. And I ordered it from one of the YouTubers that we watch. If you've ever watched Farmhouse on Boom, Lisa over there has, goodness gracious, 6 kids, and she just had her 7th. Can't remember exactly, but she has several kids. But she does a lot of cooking and providing, and just really educating you on the blessing it is to be able to provide for your family and cook from scratch. And so we love watching her. So check out her channel. She also has a sister, Our Oily House, that has a YouTube channel as well. And we always enjoy watching them because it's encouraging to see someone that finds joy in serving their family and providing home-cooked meals. And so Farmhouse on Boom and Our Oily House, go check them out. And you can purchase the apron from Lisa at Farmhouse on Boom. She also has a podcast that she does. Very, very, very good to watch. We love watching her. But Lauren and Jace introduced us to them, and we love them. But anyway, back to the recipe. It's called pear bread. And what you need to make the pear bread is you need 3 cups of all-purpose flour. You need 2 cups of sugar. Let me get up here where I can see. You need 2 eggs. Here's where you could whatever your preference is. Okay, it calls for 1 1/4 cup of oil. So I've done the recipe with oil, and then I ran out of oil on the breads I made this past weekend, so I used butter instead. And what I did there was I just did a stick and a half of butter melted. So I'm sure you could replace the oil anywhere you see fit. It calls for a cup of raisins. Jace doesn't like raisins, so one of the recipes I did this past weekend is I did not put raisins in it. And him and Erica actually preferred it without the raisins. I'm out of raisins, and I actually, Miss Martha used regular raisins in hers. I had some golden raisins from Azure, and I used on my loaves this past weekend. But today I'm out of raisins, so I'm going to try cranberries. Dried cranberries, craisins basically, and see how it changes the recipe. I might not like it, I might love it. Who knows, it might be a new thing. It also calls for, and I told you earlier, 3 cups pears, peeled and chopped, which is, it says could be equivalent to 3 large pears, but I used, and these weren't large pears, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 8 pears over there equals about 3 cups. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, half a cup of chopped nuts of your choice. We have an abundance of pecans on the hill because of the pecan trees, so I used pecans. A teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of soda, baking soda, and a teaspoon of cinnamon. Now, what the recipe calls for is for you to sift your flour. Okay, so I have my flour, I have my salt, I have my soda, and I have my cinnamon in here. And this is probably one of the things, a lost art, and people really find it unnecessary to do, is sift your flour. The reason for sifting it makes your recipe light and fluffy. And works out any clumps. So I'm going to sift my flour, salt, cinnamon, and soda together here and have it ready. How many of you have one of these? So we'll get the flour sifted here. But like I said, the purpose of sifting is it just works the clumps out, any clumps that you might have. And it really, really helps on making your recipe light and fluffy. Is it necessary on every recipe? Of course not. You know, it's not going to make or break the recipe, but I kind of like having it mixes the salt and the soda together and the cinnamon and all the flour. It just gets all the clumps out. You don't have any clumps. Sometimes some recipes call for you to sift your sugar together. Okay, so I have that sifted. But first, what we want to do is we want to mix our butter and our sugar and our eggs. And so that's what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get that going, get that added. Okay, so the recipe calls for 2 eggs. And if any of you have raised farm fresh eggs, you know the importance of opening your eggs one at a time and checking them. If you've ever cracked open a half-grown chicken, it's pretty disgusting. If you gather your eggs every day, you shouldn't have that problem. But but it is important if you're gathering your eggs from chickens every day to check those eggs. And aren't those beautiful? So I'm gonna go ahead and dump my 2 eggs in here. I have my 2 cups of sugar. I'm gonna dump it in there. And then I'm gonna dump my 1.5 sticks of melted butter or 1.25 cups of oil. Whatever you prefer. I kind of prefer butter just because it's natural and all. So, okay, so I'm just gonna mix this egg, butter, and sugar. This old mixer belonged to Denise's husband's aunt, Mary, who lived up in Pennsylvania, had an antique store, loved antiques. Anyway, Denise inherited this from Mary because she knew Denise had a passion for cooking. So Denise was blessed with that. So we're going to get our eggs and all, and that's all mixed together. Let me show you here. You can see it's mixing together there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in our sifted flour. Now, it's going to get pretty clumpy, and you're going to think, how in the world is it going to work? So I'm going to slowly add in the sifted flour with the cinnamon, the baking soda, and the salt. When I first did this, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so thick. It was like a big dough ball. And I was thinking, it's never going to spread in the loaf pans. But I'll show you in a minute. This is what I was talking about here. See how it clumps together, and you're going, oh my goodness, how in the world is that going to work? Well, now I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients, okay? I'm going to add, I think I'll stop it and put the pears in. I'm going to add the 3 cups of chopped pears. I'm going to add the 1/2 cup of chopped nuts. Pecans are my preference today because that's what I have an abundance of. I'm going to add the craisins in there. Like I said, you can add that if you want to or not. And then it calls for a teaspoon of vanilla. So I'm going to add my teaspoon. I'm just going to go ahead and add it all together. This is some homemade vanilla that a sweet friend at church made and blessed us with. I actually have used up all mine at home, but it's actually very good. Okay, so I'm going to lock that down. I'm going to turn on slow and let it start mixing. Okay, so we've got our everything added, and look how it's loosening up in there. The water and the pears start coming out the longer you mix it. So I'm going to get that blended real good there. Okay, so now I have my all my ingredients mixed together. I have my 2 loaf pans. They are sprayed. Now, Miss Martha recommended that you flour and grease your pans. Well, I happen to have, or Denise happened to have some spray with flour in it, and so I just sprayed these 2 loaf pans with. So I'm going to divide it evenly between both loaf pans. I bet the craisins is going to give it a tartness. We'll see. So I'm going to divide this evenly between both loaves. Okay, so now I have my loaves ready to go. Got them spread evenly between the 2 pans without any air. I'm going to place them in a 350 degrees preheated oven. And Denise's oven tends to cook a little hotter, a little faster. The recipe calls for you to cook it an hour and 15 minutes. So I'm going to just kind of check it an hour and see what it looks like. But we'll let that get cooked, and we will have some sampling when it gets done. We'll see you when it gets done. Okay, guys. Both loaves took about an hour and 15 minutes. Denise's oven cooks a little bit warmer, so the edges kind of cooked a little more done than I wanted. But there is one of the loaves. I want you to look in there. You can see the pears in there and the craisins or cranberries in there. And you can see on the side that her oven cooks a little bit faster than ours did. Mine does. Let me spit it out. I'm having a problem speaking. But here's the test. Am I going to light the craisins in it? Let's see. It's definitely going to give it a different flavor, I think. Let's see. Sister, come here. Let's see what Sister says. I used craisins rather than raisins. Oh, I didn't think you were going to do that. I tried it. Well, I'm trying to make sure I get the craisin. The thing about this bread is it cooks crunchy on the outside, and the inside is really, really moist.
That's hard.
You like that?
Right in there. Okay. I don't know, Matt.
What do you think?
I think it's pretty good.
Isn't that good?
Mmm.
I bet you could use apples in that too, couldn't you?
You know when you eat something and it just goes to the soul?
Is that the Sooo? Did it hit you deep, sister?
It hit me deep. I might need to go again. Hold on.
So you can put, if you don't like the raisins, you don't have to put raisins. We just proved you can put craisins, dried cranberries in it. If you don't like the nuts, you don't have to put them in. And I bet you could use apples and do the same thing. But that is very good.
I need a tall glass of goat milk now.
Absolutely.
Speaking of,
So there you have it. Some more ideas of what to do with all of those peaches. Right, sister?
Pears.
I've been saying peaches all day long. Pears. All those pears. And this has really been a family favorite. Everybody's liked it. The only thing that wasn't, Jace doesn't like raisins in his. So he prefers, look at sister over here. He prefers it made without the raisins. And it works out fine. It does. So,
that is so good.
it is very good. So we're going to continue eating. This is why I'm so fat, sister. This is why I can't lose weight. Because I keep eating.
It's better to die fat and happy than
Skinny and sad.
skinny and sad, right?
Definitely. Definitely delicious.
Oh. And some goat milk.
Nah.
It's good to wash it down with.
I know it is. Anyway, we appreciate you watching today as we figured out what to do with all those pears. We will
I'm
continue.
coming on the tail end, but
She did.
I got the best part.
She did get the best part. So, as Stumpy always says, a simple life is a much more enjoyable life. Thank you so much for following us on our channel. Please like and subscribe if you're not already. Please go check out those other YouTubers that we watch. Lisa with Farmhouse on Boom. You will love her site. Very, very good. This, and then her sister, of course, Our Oily House. They both are great encouragers on cooking for your family and cooking meals from scratch. And doing what seems to be the impossible. And it's really not impossible. Just blessing your family through cooking for them and providing for them. Anyway, share our videos. Remember our upcoming big event that's coming September the 9th. Pals from the Past. We will be there. The only ones that will not be there is Beckett. Bless it.
Nanny.
Oh, and Nanny won't be there. But most of Perry Hill will be there, and you'll get to meet us and hang out with us, along with a whole bunch of other YouTubers. We'll also be taking some of our good products, our sauces, our jams, our pepper jellies. Hopefully by then we'll have some pickles, where we have some pickles made. Come see us at our booth. Erica will be there, helping you buy some great products and possibly even some t-shirts if we have any left by the time we get there. And then come see us wherever we will be and hang out with us. It's fun to get to know each and every one of you, and some of you have already reached out to us. We thank you for that. So thank you for watching today. Please, if you have any more suggestions on how to use pears, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Again, we'll see you on the next video. God bless.
God bless you guys.